Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You get fairy dust. I get fairy dust. Amelie's right here. She gets fairy dust. And this is me telling my eating disorder story. To catch you up right now in the story, this is number 4. Is I was just in the midst, 20 to 25, in the midst of binging and purging every single day. Like a lot, like more, I mean, it was just binging and purging every single day, all day. Throwing up almost every single thing that I ate. The interesting thing about bulimia is that you don't get super skinny. So when I initially starved, I got way down, but once the all-day binging and purging started, I was never skinny anymore. I was not overweight, but I was also not, maybe somebody would have said like, oh, she's thin, but for my height, I wasn't super, super skinny. And, but I was eating such vast quantities of food. Of course I wasn't skinny. But that was frustrating. And then just FYI, over time, that became more and more the issue. Just couldn't keep my weight super low because of the vast quantities of food that I actually needed. I needed it. It was my medicine and I needed it. And like I said before, then the purging also became my medicine. Okay. So every day's a blur. I got a job as a flight attendant, which again, that's a job where you're, that it's a high stress situation, and then you're alone a lot, in the hotel's room. So I would just binge during that. I would eat all day. I wouldn't though on the plane because of those bathrooms. So, but again, sometimes the compulsion was too much for me, and then I had to do that because that's just what you got to do. I mean, it's a gross thing anyway that I'm telling myself, and so just go to the gross place and do it. And so, okay, so just a nightmare. That airline actually went out of business, so that job was over, and then I started working just different jobs. Don't know what I want to do, feeling lost, one thing to another. I got married at 22, and all I'm gonna say about that marriage, it was not healthy for either of us. Can you imagine being married to somebody who wants to binge and purge all the time? Like, that was a nightmare. But there were definitely issues on both sides, but it did support that relationship. Not the person, but the relationship supported my eating disorder. Like it's not an accident who we pick. And so of course I'm going to pick somebody who doesn't fully lose their shit if I'm binging and purging. Of course I'm keeping it a secret, but how secretive could it be? But anyway, just a mess, just a fucking mess. Didn't know what, feeling lost, no money. Like it just wasn't a good situation. And then, at some point I realized, I'm trying to figure out where I am in the story. Nope, still lost. Okay. So then it just got to the point where, it just ruled my life. Okay, so then I got pregnant with my first child. And one of my jokes that I would tell my eating disorder people eventually in recovery was that pregnancy is a lot like bulimia, because when you're eating large quantities of food in front of other people and you're not overweight, people might think obviously they don't think that, but it's just like the story I was telling myself was like, well, I have a fast metabolism, which I do not, bitch. And that, it was fine how much I ate. I didn't go overboard in front of people, but I did, eat a full dessert after a full meal, whatever, knowing I was going to purge later. But I didn't feel any weirdness about it because it's like, well, it doesn't hurt me. And so, whatever, maybe have a fast metabolism. So people don't say anything to you if you eat a lot. And then I thought pregnancy was the same thing. Like I could eat whatever I fucking wanted. And this is the 80s. So the whole like that's unhealthy for the kid wasn't known. My doctor never told me to lose weight. But I stopped purging. So at least there was that. I stopped purging. But I gained so much weight. So I got up to over 200 pounds with my first pregnancy. So obviously that's just not the baby. That's my eating disorder just fully taking me over. Pregnancy is very stressful to me. I mean, it's stressful to everyone, but it was very, very overwhelming to me. And with an eating disorder and body dysmorphia, being pregnant, I hated every minute of it. I loved my child that I was carrying. I loved the experience of having her there. I loved feeling her and having her kick and all that shit. Like I loved that. But I totally get why people do surrogacy. Like, I mean, if by choice, and actually a lot of people do it, not just because of that, like they don't want all that. And it was super, super really hard for me. So gained all that weight because that was stressful. And then what was my only medicine for curing my stress and my depression and my fear is food. So there was that. And then comes the day where I am holding this. I want to say something else. I kept this a secret for many years, but this is how fucked up the disease is, which is why I'm saying it. So I had been prepared that on the day when you go into labor, your body makes you throw up, because if you think about it, like, so your body is like, okay, we're not going to worry so much about the living and surviving thing. We need to concentrate all of our energy on getting this baby out of this lady. And so your body shuts down. So does your GI system. And so you can throw up. Like a lot of people throw up when they're in labor because there's too much else going on. You don't want that food in there. And so I remembered that somehow. I stuck onto that fact. And so when I went into labor, I purged for the first time the whole time that I was not purging while I was pregnant, because I felt like I had permission. And it's like, and how I convinced myself, or my eating disorder convinced me, like, like it's probably going to be better if you do it, since, and so I binged, and I mean, stress fucking in labor. Like, what are you doing, ladies? Sorry. And so, so I wanted to reveal that. But yeah, I didn't purge at all during my entire pregnancy, but you saw what happened. I weighed 200 pounds. So then, miserable, but I had this baby, and I was like, oh shit, oh fuck, I've got to break the cycle, because I knew what I was doing was crazy. I mean, I knew it. Like, again, when you stick your head in a toilet 50 times a day, something's fucked up. I don't think if I had ever switched over to purging that I would have ever realized that. And so I would have just thought, like, this is me. I'm overweight, lady. But I saw this baby, and I was like, fuck. I have to do it. I have to break this cycle. Because I understood that not only was I fucked up, but that cycles weren't broken before me. That still needed to be broken. And now it landed on me. And so from that moment forward, my focus has been on healing myself from my eating disorder. And that's shortly thereafter. So when she was a baby, somehow when it started therapy, went to several different therapists. One of the awful therapists was a psychiatrist. It was so weird. Like, there was a line, and then you went in to see this, like, whatever guru at the insurance place. And so I told him, and people had told me I had mood swings. Well, it's just like, well, no shit, because you're binging and purging all day long. But I told him that, and he immediately gave me medicine for bipolar. Like, no other questions, no whatever. I mean, I told him that I was bulimic, and anyway, it's crazy shit, just crazy. I did not take that medicine. At least I knew enough not to take that. But at some point, I got it was a lot all through my insurance. I got a weird person, and I called the insurance company to tell them about that weird person. I don't remember what it was, but it was not great. And I think they were scared, and so they sent me out of network and paid for it to an eating disorder therapist. And she specialized in eating disorders, and I will say she was the first step in changing and saving my life. But that poor woman. Eventually, she said, you have to go to treatment. You can't stop. You have to go to treatment. And I mean, what I put that woman through, like, just always relapsing, never stopping. And so I went to treatment. And so I will tell you that story next time about my experience in treatment. But this is the first experience of recovery. So it was twofold. It was, one, therapy, starting that relationship with that person. And she was an eating disorder specialist. And so she had all the information that I needed about my eating disorder. And so I learned so much. I'm a chronic relapser. That's going to be a part of my story, is that I kept waiting for the magic pill to make me suddenly stop. 55 years later, that's still, well, however many years later, I'm 55. So that doesn't exist. And I just kept relapsing. And the shit that I did, like, you wouldn't, like, I twisted myself up into a pretzel to get that magic pill, to have, oh, this insight is going to be the one to save me. Oh, this education about an eating disorder is going to save me. Oh, this will save me. She hypnotized me once. Like, okay, this is going to save me. Didn't work for me. There's something, okay. I mean, I did a lot of, like, okay, there was one time where she's like, okay, you can binge and purge all you want, but you can't lie about it. And so I was like, yes! I was so excited because I could binge and purge. I had full permission. And then, but I realized very quickly that the eating disorder does not exist without the lie. That the lie is actually part of the addiction. Having it be my secret was part of the addiction. That lasted one day. I think I went home and I said, okay, so my therapist said that I can binge and purge all day. And and then it was like, then that person was like, well, you can't, because I'm here and now I know. And I'm like, fuck, that did not work. Seriously, I was more excited about therapist sanctioned relapse. Oh, fuck. Anyway, but I did learn that about the lie, that I didn't realize how being so sneaky and so, like, you don't know what's going on over here, and, like, I can fool anybody. Whatever. Like, I'm never going to get caught at this shit. Like, so much secrecy. And that's why one of the things they say, you're only as sick as your secrets. And I kept this a secret. I may have already said this, but it's important to know again, because I'm revealing some shit about me. I feel so much less shame about it, as you can tell by the way I'm telling you the story. But nobody knew this. The only people that knew were either recovery people, my therapist, or the ones closest in my life. And so, meaning, like, just my husband, because he was at the, that was at the house. And of course the kids, you know, they're not, I'm not going to show them that, but, you know, so, okay. One time she said, I want to see what you're purging. Excuse me, what? So she had me throw up in a bag, put it in the freezer, and bring it to therapy. Let me tell you how embarrassing but again, it was like, again, a little bit of permission, which it was not. She goes, I want to sit and look at that with you. I want to, you know, and I'm telling you, once again, I'm like, okay, this is the most gross and disgusting thing that I have ever done. Well, that I have ever done and showed anybody. Like, and I thought, once again, this will do it. This will be the thing that finally lifts it. And two things. That didn't work. And it just I don't have a ton of memories, but that is one that lives in me, how embarrassing and uncomfortable and humiliating that was. Okay, so two things. It lives, the lessons from this. You're only as sick as your secrets. So once you start telling your secrets, so and that the addiction didn't exist without the secret, that there is no such thing as the magic pill or the one thing that's going to change everything. Pete Walker, in his childhood, complex PTSD book, says you have to give up the salvation fantasy. The salvation fantasy is a fantasy. There is no magic pill. There is no magic insight. There is no one thing that will change you if you have this disease of, addiction. There's no one magical thing. I would have climbed Mount Everest to get that magic pill, as opposed to doing the work that I needed to do to lift the addiction. Okay. Third thing is I started into recovery. So she sent me to meetings. So that was the beginning of my 12-step meeting experience. And I will say without hesitation that for me, those two things were critical. I, as a therapist, actually recommend everybody work the steps. I really do. But if you have food issues, like, working the steps about your food issues is very therapeutic and very cathartic and very helpful. It will help you see things that you didn't see before. And if you're still, here's your pickle about, should I do 12 steps or not? That seems weird or lame. Here's your pickle, is that if you're still using, if you're still in your anorexia, if you're still in your bulimia, if you're still into your compulsive overeating, work the steps and see if you still are doing that, because you haven't tried everything if you haven't worked the steps. And I recommend going to the meetings. Right now we can't because of Corona, but there are online meetings for you every single day, multiple times a day, and getting a sponsor. It is not perfect. It is not perfect, but it's free and it's available, and you'll be with other people who have the same issues. So that's just already less shame, and you will learn things that you can't learn any other way. You will learn things. You will hear things from other people sharing their experience, strength, and hope, which is what I'm doing here right now, that you didn't click for you before, but now clicked, and that's one less thing that you have to search for to click, or one less piece of advanced work that you have to do. Working the steps is advanced. It just is. So, okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you being here. I'm so honored. I hope this is helpful. That's my hope. But I'm probably saying something you don't want to hear. But it's time to go to a meeting, and you should probably go to one today. Unless you're done, unless you're free of it. What do you have to lose? What do you have to fucking lose? Just go do it, what do you have to lose? It's not the panacea. It is for some people, I will say that. But go do it. Get it done. Go do that advanced work. People will help you do this work for fucking free. Go do it. It's a resource there for you. And if you're not using it, what are you doing? Okay. Love you. Bye.